Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to BWTM Sports Gaming. Let's get into this one. So news is breaking pretty quickly in the boxing world that Anthony Joshua has decided to, or they're rumored to take step-aside money of around quoted 15 million so that Tyson Fury, the WBC heavyweight champion of the world, and Alexander Usyk, the unified heavyweight champion of the world, just in his last fight, beating Anthony Joshua to gain those belts. The former undisputed cruiserweight champion of the world, now heavyweight champion of the world, would be bidding to become undisputed champion literally in his next fight, should him and Fury get it on. So that's the story that's been breaking at the moment, or is rumored to. And the other thing that's coming out is that the possibility of Usyk and Tyson Fury, the fight being announced next week, as early as next week. That's the stories that are coming out at the moment. So where do we start with this? Where can I start with this? In my opinion, first and foremost, I think, good morning, TACFest. In my opinion, my humble opinion, I think first and foremost, when it comes to Anthony Joshua, there was a statement that was made that, you know, he's going to win his belts back. And, you know, regardless of what people think, he's going to win his belts back. And much like when I didn't break a story, well, I said to you that that Anthony Joshua would leave Rob McCracken more than a month and a half ago, 2 months last year, when I originally said that Anthony Joshua would leave Rob McCracken. People thought, no, that's not going to happen. There's no way he can leave Rob McCracken. But now he's left Rob McCracken, you know. And, you know, before we heard about Anthony Joshua considering step-aside money, even back then, much earlier. So these step-aside things, these step-aside situations, if it's true, usually happen. If it's a rematch as well, what would happen is, and it's a new trainer coming as well, they'll look at the opponent and think, is he beatable? Can we beat this guy? Have we got enough time to prepare for this guy? And weigh up the risk and reward. Well, yes, if we beat Usyk, it's great. But if we don't beat Usyk, we miss out on a mega fight between Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. That's the fight that everybody, well, that's the fight that at least British fans want to see. They want to see Anthony Joshua. They want to see Tyson Fury. They want those two guys to get it on. So to secure that fight, considering Joshua versus Wilder was down the pan, and then Joshua lost the fight to Usyk, which stopped the Tyson Fury fight, can they afford that to happen again? Not really. So what would have to happen in this situation is that say, look, this is too much of a gamble. There's too much money to be made here. Let's step aside. Let's spend more time working with the trainer. Let's build a better relationship. And while we're building that better relationship, let's get to know each other. Let's build that boxing relationship. Let's build that partnership as new trainer and fighter. And let's take another fight instead. Maybe not as difficult. Let Fury and Usyk fight for the undisputed belt. And then the winner, which they hope will be Tyson Fury against Anthony Joshua. You know, that would sound like the plan. That would sound like the plan. Because I'm not so sure, honestly, deep down, that Anthony Joshua and his team actually think they can beat Alexander Usyk in a rematch. I don't believe so. I really don't believe it. I don't believe it. And it's too much of a risk. So if they can get a Tyson Fury fight, step aside, wait for Fury to beat Usyk in a hope that Fury actually does beat Usyk, right? Because if Fury doesn't beat Usyk, then that's a massive boo-boo. because then the Fury Joshua fight, it's not going to happen because Josh Usyk's beating both of them now. So they've got to cross their fingers and hope that Fury can pull it out the fire and beat Usyk. And if Fury does beat Usyk, then Joshua could fight Tyson Fury for the undisputed belt. Now, in the meantime, there's a man called DILLIAN White that's just floating around, which is DILLIAN White. Now, DILLIAN White could be the loophole for Joshua and White to fight. So if Joshua and White were to fight in the background while Fury and Usyk fought, you can have an all-British showdown. You know that Hearn loves a pound. It could be a pay-per-view event, Joshua versus White in, I don't know, Wembley, the O2 Arena, whatever. They could sell that fight out. The winner of that could then face Fury for the undisputed belt. That might be an idea. That might be an idea. Because, I mean, Fury's got, I think he's got 1 or 2 fights left on his contract with Top Rank. And obviously, they want to make the most out of Fury. I'm not so sure if a fight between him and Robert Helenius makes that much money. I'm not sure if him against Andy Ruiz makes that much money. And I'm sure that a fight between Fury and Usyk, I've seen people on Twitter actually say the fight doesn't make money. But isn't it undisputed what you want? People on Twitter are actually saying, oh, that fight, Fury versus Usyk, shouldn't happen. We were crying out for undisputed all this time. Really, we should actually try get this fight, make this fight happen. So let's see what people are saying in the comment section. So this is huge if it's true. It would be huge. Wow, this is great if it happens. Certainly would be great if it happens. Good business move. It may be a good business move. I mean, Joshua and his team would know the risk and reward. If Joshua gets beat by Usyk again, who really wants to see him fight Tyson Fury? Who wants to see him fight Tyson Fury? You get beat twice by Usyk, and then your marketability hits rock bottom. You know, it's a tough ask to come in your first fight as a trainer to fight OLEKSANDR Usyk. If they could swerve that, I think they would. Watcher says, I think it's just, I just think it's rumors. Eddie always begs for that rematch. Yep. But common sense may prevail in this situation. He also likes a pound note as well. AJ with no belts versus Fury would not be as big. Absolutely. It wouldn't be. AJ getting beat by Usyk again wouldn't be helpful either. When Josh said, I'm a good businessman, that was a red flag. Yeah. Well, I mean, he's talking about the first quarter and, what makes good business sense. So when he was saying that back then, and then you heard the rumors before that saying that he was going to step aside. And then the rumors before that was he was going to leave Rob McCracken. You know, you begin to wonder, like, hold on, there's a recurring pattern with this geezer. So the step aside would be of no surprise. And I think the step aside would be a good thing. Because a lot of people would think, do you really want to go into automatic rematch with OLEKSANDR Usyk? This isn't Andy Ruiz who, is liable to blow up in weight. This is a guy that he outboxed you, outpunched you, outmaneuvered you. So, and mentally, it won't fall apart the way Andy Ruiz did now that he's become champion. This would be huge. We've not had undisputed since Lennox Lewis. We need this. Yeah, the boxing world need this, but we do know before that Wilder Joshua should have happened, and they royally messed that up. Let's hope this time that negotiations move smoother. What if Fury loses to Usyk? Even bigger risk. Yeah, that's it as well. If Fury were to lose to Usyk, then that would really mess things up. You know, people think it's unthinkable that Fury would lose to Usyk. He struggled against Steve Cunningham, you know, but then what he did was when Cunningham dropped, he got up, and as Fury always does in his fights, if you look at Fury when he gets dropped, he gets up, and what he does is close the range down. What he'll do, he'll close the range down on Alexander Usyk. He'll put his guard up, he'll walk forward and try and trap Usyk on the ropes, like he did against Steve Cunningham, and try and put pressure on Usyk and try and really beat him up on the inside. That's what he'll try and do. He'll try and beat Usyk up. That'd be the strategy. I don't see Fury trying to box Usyk. He'll try and lay on him, big man him, lay on him, use all his weight on him, you know, rough him up on the inside. Don't give him any room. I'm Nicky Barnes, Frank Lucas. That's the year I represent. Joshua, I know. It's not good, really, is it? I think Joshua and Dillian would both get step-asides. Yeah, well, listen, if they both get step-asides, they can fight one another. That would logically make good sense. That would logically make good sense. Remember, Hearn said the other day, expect the unexpected. Yeah, well, yeah, I would expect Joshua to step aside for two reasons. A, because he's just not ready to fight Usyk in a rematch, and B, his new trainer needs time with him. That would make sense. And maybe his new trainer said to him, look, like I said before, I don't think you're quite ready, mate, to fight Usyk. Let's slide that. While the Joshua falling through has its fault, its majority. While the Joshua falling through has its fault, in majority rest with the AJ side, of course, the same matchroom side. So, you know, as long as they do negotiations properly this time round, you know, we could have an undisputed. Fury is not as much of a shoo-in to beat Usyk as people think. We still haven't seen the best Usyk. I believe we've seen all of Fury's wrinkles. We have. I believe so. And those Wilder fights, they've got to have taken something out of Tyson Fury. You're taking those big shots and, you know, and get dropped and getting up. You know, those are what they call, they're taxing. You know? It certainly shortened the career of a fighter. I think rematch happens, but we'll see. Or if we have AJ versus Wilder as a tournament for the winner of Usyk Fury. In fact, let it be on the Usyk Fury undercard. What amazing that would be. We'd love to see that happen, but the risk and reward in that, they wouldn't make that fight when Joshua was undefeated and was unified champion and Wilder was WBC champion. They wouldn't make that fight then. Would they make that fight now? With both guys that don't have belts? Joshua trying to rehabilitate his career? I mean, would they really make that fight happen? Would they really want to take a chance of Wilder coming over and steamrolling Joshua? I mean, would they really want that? Why do they really want that? See his hair. Does Fury take the fight to Usyk on the inside? I believe he does. I believe he doesn't give Usyk any room to move around the ring. He would have watched the way Joshua fought Usyk and he thought, nah, no chance. You're getting it. You're smaller than me. I'm gonna get on the inside. I'm gonna roughhouse you. I'm not gonna give you any room to move anyway. It's big cat and mouse in there. I'm gonna let you know that I'm a big heavyweight. And I'm gonna smash you to bits. I'm coming in there. I'm looking to take you apart. He will know of it. Tyson Fury is no mug. He's no fool. I've said this before. He may talk some foolish things at times, but he's a very smart guy. He would not allow Usyk for one moment to dance around the ring with him. You know, he wouldn't. He would literally put his gloves up, step to Usyk, trap him on the ropes, and keep him there. Even use that one elbow, push up in Usyk's face, and punch him. He'll do all them things. Fury can roughhouse. Just look at the Cunningham fight. He'll roughhouse him. As Teddy says, those big knockdowns take miles off the clock. They do. They do. They do. So, you know, it's an interesting fight. It's an interesting fight. Usyk gonna dust Fury off too. I don't think he'll dust him off as easy as if he dusted off Joshua, that's for sure. Because he will box to a game plan. He'll box to a game plan. He'll box a game plan that is beneficial to himself. And if it's not working, Fury has the capacity and the ability to make changes on the fly. And that's what separates a good fighter or a decent fighter from a top-class elite fighter, is that ability to make changes in the fight. When things are not going your way, the ability to adapt and change. Andre Ward, Joe Calzaghe, Floyd Mayweather. When things are not going your way, and Fury has that way. He's got that knack of, look, this isn't working. Let's do something else. Let's try something else instead. Fury can do that. He's got the ability to do that. I think in their fight, Usyk drops Fury while he's off balance, reaching for the jab and scores a flash knockdown. That would let Fury know that he's not to get comfy in there. Well, there's always a possibility that Usyk can land the counter. Absolutely. Absolutely. But the thing about Fury is, also, Fury can box orthodox, he can box southpaw. And the way to take away a southpaw, and you heard it from Stacey McKinley, Mike Tyson's former trainer of 35 world champions, a heavyweight specialist, and one of the great heavyweight trainers we've got of this era. He said to beat a southpaw, you've just basically got to close them down and fight with them. Fight them. Don't box them, fight them. Don't give them any space and fight them. You've got to get inside and fight a southpaw. So I believe that's what Fury will try and do. Fury will do. There's no way Fury's going to stand on the outside of Usyk and just use the jab and box. Just not going to happen. He'll look to ram the jab down Usyk's throat, drop him, push him to the ropes, and then make him fight. That's what I see that's going to happen. It says here, one of the keys to victory for Usyk is to keep off the ropes and in the middle of the ring, circling while Fury. One of the keys is that exact opposite. Yep. Absolutely. 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 So, yeah, let's just hope this fight happens. Let's hope we get the undisputed. Would you be interested in seeing Dillian Whyte versus Joshua for a second time? And is that fight a risk to Anthony Joshua with his new trainer? Is Dillian Whyte a risk to Anthony Joshua in a rematch? A fully fit Dillian Whyte, who many would say has improved. Is a Dillian Whyte with Anthony Joshua a fight that you want to see? And is that a fight you want to see on pay-per-view? That's another question. Would you buy that fight? And in a rematch, can Dillian Whyte beat Anthony Joshua? If this is what we're getting, I'm very satisfied. And AJ Whyte is a good fight. Could be dangerous. Whyte has been more active than AJ as well. AJ Whyte too is a good fight. You see, so people would see that fight. People would want to see that fight, the rematch. So this is the thing. Whyte might beat AJ in a fight if AJ's confidence is more dented than we think. Well, that's it. That's it. How damaged or damaged goods with AJ? How damaged a fighter is he? And what will they do with AJ now with his new trainer? How good do they work together? And how does he deal with the rumored anxiety attacks that AJ has when he's going to fight in the future? All these things, all this stuff, all these clips you see of AJ working out and training, to me, like I've said before, that really means nothing. I learned the lesson from the Deontay Wilder fight. You know, Wilder doing all that training, all that stuff on the pads. It looked great. He looked like he was improving, blah, 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 blah. Then we came to the fight and we saw what happened. So psychologically, I want to see what AJ is like when he gets in the ring in his next fight. That's the only time we're going to see really what's left of AJ, you know? Really, that's the only way we're going to find out. So, yeah, that's the news. We'll just wait and see what happens next. This week, I will have, fingers crossed, we'll be back doing a big interview. If we're going to come back, we'll come back doing a big interview. And I think it will be an interview that a lot of boxing fans will enjoy. So, as for now, thank you all so much for watching BWTM Sports. Final thing coming up here. So, let's just put something up again. Put this quickly, and keep that with the fact that the heavyweight division is too thin to find enough tune-ups to build up. You're going from what top guy to another top guy or close enough. Absolutely correct. Can't agree with you more. Right, thank you so much for watching. This has been BWTM Sports Gaming. Again, appreciate the time. See you soon.